He's the talk show host and stand-up comic we love to watch on Comedy Central. Welcome, Trevor Noah. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me.
We're so glad to have you. So you rose to fame a few years ago as a correspondent and writer on The Daily Show.
Yes.
Did you ever, A, believe that you were going to be at the helm of the show, and B, much less be at the helm of the show in this political climate?
Well, no and no. I never thought that I was going to be hosting the show, because at the time I was coming to work with Jon Stewart, which was exciting. And once I got to sit in the chair, I did not think that the climate would get this crazy, but I always said to people that I thought Donald Trump would win. So in some way,
Really?
I did think that this would be a world I'd be living in.
Why did you think Donald Trump would win?
Well, I mean, he has everything that America has grown to love. You know, he's a celebrity. He's rich. He has like the ability to charm and you know, create chaos in the news cycle. And essentially, that's what American politics has become. It's become about the candidate. It's not about the politics. It's not really about what's happening behind the scenes. People say it's about that. But if you think about it, people are drawn to the charisma of the person, whether it's Bill Clinton, George Bush, you know, Barack Obama, or Donald Trump. People are attracted to the enigma that comes with the presidency. And so when it comes to policy, most people aren't really that engaged.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. With all of this changing so fast, all of this breaking news, are you guys constantly updating jokes?
Oh, yeah.
Are you doing so much research?
You know what? We used to be in a place where we could write the show and be done at about 5:30 p.m.
Right.
And then go out and tape it and be comfortable.
Go have dinner.
Yeah. Now there's no dinners. We're waiting. We have this rule now. We sit and watch the clock, and between 5 and 6 p.m. we know something will break, and we wait, and we have to redo the show every single day. I mean, now it's like breaking news, where every minute you're going, wait, is that real? Did that just happen? What? And it's a new story every day. So it's essentially we're writing 2 shows a day now, which is fun. I mean, it's like now we feel like we were fake news, but now it's like we're fake real news. It's like a, you know.
And I was asking if you've become or were before a total news junkie, because you have to be on top of everything. You have to know what's going on and read papers and watch.
I was, but you know what's nice now is the news has become so accessible, I feel.
Yeah.
You know why? Because thanks to Donald Trump, it feels like for the first time ever, we are learning about the presidency with the president, which is an interesting journey to be on. So he's learning new things. We're learning what classified is or isn't. We're learning, you know, what an emoluments clause is or isn't. We're learning about ideas that we never thought of because he's learning about them at the same time. So it makes it exciting.
That's a really good point. Now, speaking of news, you've been openly critical about Fox News. What is the feedback you've gotten from that? Positive, negative?
Well, I mean, it's not critical. I think I sit in a space where I'm honest, and then some people perceive that as being negative or positive, but you comment on what you see, and that's what satire is, and that's what good comedy is commenting on the truth that's in front of you. And so essentially there's always going to be somebody who hates or loves what you do, but that's what point of view comedy is all about.
Right.
That's the purpose of what you're trying to do.
And speaking of comedy, even though you have so much TV success right now, you're still doing stand-up. Is that kind of, you know, a lot of people do that. Is that like a muscle that you have to continue to exercise?
Definitely, yeah, it is.
And
It's also nice going out and talking to real people, you know, because I mean, if you sit in the studio, you get used to the cameras, you have a great time. But when you go out there and you talk to people, and you know what, I love seeing America as well. That's the key thing for me, is I don't want to talk about a place that I've never been to.
Right.
And so it's nice to go, oh, I was there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Let's take a look at a clip from your Netflix special, Afraid of the Dark.
And it's not just America. The rise of nationalism is taking place all over the world. In England, I saw people on the news talking to the BBC.
This bloody country's going to the dogs. These bloody immigrants, they're not even trying to be British. They come here, they bring their own bloody culture, try to take over the whole bloody place.
Sounds British to me. I mean...
You know, in addition to his television work and in addition to his stand-up, he's also written a book, and it was called Born a Crime,
Yes.
Stories of a South African Childhood. Am I right in assuming that Born a Crime comes from the fact that your mother was jailed under the apartheid laws? She was black,
Yes.
your father was white, and she was put in prison because she had a relationship with a white man?
Well, she was jailed a few times, and that's because in South Africa, being a white person, fraternizing with a black person was against the law. And so my parents broke, I mean, one of the biggest laws at the time, and they had me, which was illegal, so I was born a crime.
Wow. And actually, you were a victim of domestic abuse. Your mother and you were both. And then later, she was shot in the head.
Yeah,
And
I write about
survived.
that. Yeah, I write about it in the book, and I mean that was one of the hardest things to write about, figuring out how to tell a story that isn't in any way trying to be, you know, poverty porn or a story that goes to a place where I'm embarrassing the family, but rather to exist in a space where I wanted people to understand that we're all going through a lot together. You know, there's the sheen that we all have, but you don't realize that your neighbor could be going through domestic abuse, your family, your friends, and we don't talk about it at all. We are shamed as the victims, which is the strangest thing, and then the perpetrators get thrown free, and that's why I wrote about the stories in my book, because my mom taught me how to fight and how to overcome that.
Really quick, he's a polyglot, actually, which is speaks multiple languages. I didn't even know what that
How
was.
many?
How many languages?
How many do I speak now? 6.
6.
Wow.
And could
Now
you
you're
say
just
something?
showing off.
I speak
say something
6.
in Xhosa.
No, we have 11 in
incredible.
South Africa. Xhosa is my mother's language, so if a greeting is really simple. Molo, that's a greeting.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah.
And then something a little more complicated would be ndiza kuqhwaga ngempama sibhanqa somntana, which means I will beat you upside the head.
Okay.
You bastard of a child.
Oh,
Very
that's
different
really
meanings.
nice.
Ones are a greeting though.
Yes. One is a greeting, one is not. One is goodbye.
Yeah, okay.
Wow.
Trevor, you're the best. Thank you so much for coming
Thank
in.
you for having
the
me.
Daily Show with Trevor Noah airs weeknights at 11 p.m. on Comedy Central. Pick up a copy of Trevor Noah's book, Born a Crime, available in stores and online now. You're the best.
And
Thanks.
we struggle with English.
Yes, we do.
on a daily basis.
Yes, we do.
Trevor, pleasure. Thank you so much.